it would be cool to see how far an MLS team could get in the Club World Cup, but there is that also petty part of me that's like, wake up at 4 a.m. and watch your team play a dismal 1-0 loss.
Colo Blanco, when you lose to Gremio out in some place. Okay, all right, so let's move on. I'm wearing a Sounders kit. CCL final, the second leg is happening tomorrow, Wednesday, May 4th at some time, I don't know, wherever time zone you're in. But it is 2-2 in aggregate. Seattle Sounders against Pumas. I've seen Pumas play in person when they played in the Leagues Cup. They played against NYCFC. They won against NYCFC in penalties. The Pumas won the Leagues. No, they didn't win the Leagues Cup. Who won the Leagues Cup? Cruz Azul? Who won it?
Last year?
Last year
was Leon.
Leon. Okay.
It was Leon versus the Sounders.
Sounders, yes. And then Sounders beat them in CCL.
Vegas.
Okay. So, how are you feeling about this game? And now we got the Liga MX expert in here, because I was surprised at that first leg, because I after watching Seattle Sounders in both matches against NYCFC, they were great. They were dominant. They were just really incredible on the ball. I felt after watching those two games, I'm like, I think Sounders are going to win this comfortably. And that first half, they were like, okay, no, they're not going to win this comfortably. Pumas were very good. Yeah.
I think this is the first special case. One, congratulations to Pumas for making it to the final. I think that is a really interesting concept to see. I think their coach is one of those coaches in Liga MX this season, alongside Puebla's coach, that you're like, wow, I want to know what he's doing to these players to make them believe. It's actually been pretty interesting to watch. Interesting also because in regular season, Liga MX, regular season, Pumas is actually in the repechaje. They just barely made it. So the way that the Mexican League works now is 4 automatically qualify for the playoffs, technically, the Liga, and then there's an additional 8 teams. It's really stupid.
It's a lot of teams.
it's we got to make a top 12 spot to make postseason.
Mini playoff, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of a wild card-esque elimination round and stuff. So they barely made that. So it's the juxtaposition of these two scenarios, right? You have a CCL championship, and then you have Liga MX, and the team has just been juggling those two things for the past month and a half or so, like that. So it's been very impressive. But I think for this scenario specifically between the Sounders and Pumas, going into the first leg, which was at the Universitario, and now going over to Seattle, I think home field advantage is such a huge factor. I think it was such a huge factor in the first game. I do think that penalties benefited both teams. I don't think there's any negating that. Yeah.
How did you feel about that late penalty, that second one, the foul on Christian Roldan? I mean, I get it. I think at that point, as the ref, you have to call it. It's very, very it was definitely I could have understood if he didn't call it.
Very Doughboy soft, It's just
yeah, Christian Roldan went when he got fouled because it was a little gentle, but I was just surprised that they called it, because everybody is when CONCACAF's at an exponential level it did in that moment.
I don't mind the CONCACAF. I don't mind it as a verb. I don't mind it as an adjective. I really don't. I enjoy the banter kind of thing, but it's guys, stupid things happen in tournaments all over the world.
Right.
This is our territory, so we're gonna kind of cultivate it as our own thing. So it was very CONCACAF-y in that sense. But because of those 2 PKs, I think that Chivas, I don't know what I'm talking about now. I think Pumas was the better team when it comes to just the, finishing their shots, finishing their chances. I know I got into a little bit of a quip on Twitter, but it was a Wednesday, it was a Wednesday. The game itself wasn't going to be scheduled, I think, until 8:30 or 9
Pacific.
local time in Mexico, you know? So it was like there was a whole work day before people were actually going to get to the stadium, you know? So I know they were like, there's not that much hype. There doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz, but once you got to the game, once you got to the stadium, once you saw the environment, it was raining too. Like there was so much there that I think Pumas really felt and came out really strong. You know, throughout the game. Of course, there was the encroachment thing, and so then they got a penalty. They got to retake the penalty. Blah blah blah. But then Dineno did this thing. You know, excellent header, and just like you said, like, oh wow, they're gonna actually do this, and they're gonna do this strongly.
I like to call him dinero. Okay, that dude is money. It was dominant that game. He was great. You know, and we interviewed Sebastian Saucedo on Pumas, right? And he's the only Liga MX player that we've interviewed, like active player. And even when we were we went to Ciudad de Mexico for the Mexico-US game, and that was my first time there. And that's where Pumas play. And Sebastian like DM'd us. He's like, "Yo, you in town? Let's link up." And I'm like, "What? This is crazy." we didn't get to because he ended up like training or something. But I remember when we spoke to him, he said like, The Rock Heel, thank you for subscribing. Very much appreciate it.
Also, kind of slightly missed Alexis.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's it. We got a little bit of it, right? So he was saying that Liga MX players, like, they can't just walk around CDMX. You know, they can't just live their lives. Like, they are incredibly famous and people will stop them, and whether it's at dinner or whatever. So the idea of us being at some restaurant with Bofo Saucedo and we're just like hanging out with him.
You guys would have definitely been in like Tudena or something.
Who's Bofo dating now? You know what I mean? Like all the
NYCFC, you with the Cooligans, they work for NYCFC.
That's the kind of publicity we need. Okay. The Rock Heel said UEFA CONCACAFs every once in a while. That's right. It rubs off on everybody. So that's all good. So it is 2-2. I'm going to I don't know how much the refereeing is going to be a part of it, but I think, look, yeah, I think that, like you said before, the home field advantage has to go a long way. I believe
I think Seattle has like less than 1,000 tickets left, if I saw correctly, you know, and I mean, Seattle is Seattle, you know what I mean? I think there's, even from like a Mexican fan base standpoint, people are saying that like Seattle, like they're, you know, they're a different animal when they're kind of like hungry in that regard. So I think that home field advantage is going to be pretty intense. You know, I know that some people wanted to downplay the significance of like Pumas being at home. But I don't want to do that with Seattle because I've seen like Seattle in finals and all this stuff. And I think it's going to be a really intimidating atmosphere to go into, especially as the second leg. And, you know, Seattle coming off of capitalizing on their late penalty and everything. Yeah. But that all being said, Pumas' season has been super impressive, and they've come out, you know, whether it was like Cruz Azul last season or whoever, they've come out sometimes and just completely dominated a game and taken the win. And you're like, I don't know how Pumas did it, but congratulations. And I feel like that mentality is going to be there when they go into the match tomorrow. So I think there's a lot of people that do see this as like Seattle is probably the favorite because of all these different scenarios, and especially because this last game is going to be at home. But I can also see Pumas like fighting till the end and like securing the win. Right. I like, for me, it's like a 60-40.
Okay, for Pumas, I would say the same, but in reverse. I think obviously, you know, every time CCL and especially when an MLS team is in the final, everybody's like, an MLS team has never won it. Can they do it? You know, winning an MLS team winning CCL will heal the world's problems. You know, everybody, they really think the world is going to change after an MLS team winning.
Like, you know those cartoons where like everything's gray and then there's just like a wave and everything turns color and everything. Like that's what an MLS team winning CCL is like. For MLS.
Colabanco Go.
I will say, there is a slight petty part of me that is like, you know what? I want you guys to win. I want MLS to win because I want to see everybody wake up at like 4 a.m. for the Club World Cup just to see them, them lose.
It's a gift and a curse, you know? Okay.
Actually, no. It would be cool to see how far an MLS team could get in the Club World Cup, but there is that also petty part of me that's like, wake up at 4 a.m. and watch, your team play a dismal like 1-0 loss.
Colo Blanco, when you lose to Gremio out in some place. Colo Blanco said, May the 4th be with the Sounders. That's right. The game will be on May 4th, the Star Wars Day.